Hello, Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a good one. A nice quiet one here. Have you got any resolutions? I ain't got any resolutions. No. I think it's all a bit much in it. New Year's Day, I'm going to give up this and this and this, and I'm going to start doing this and this and this. And inevitably one of them falls off a cliff in a couple of weeks, and then you feel terrible about yourself. So what I say is, do it when you're ready. Don't, 1st of January with all that pressure. Just do it when you're ready. Then again, I had a trifle for my breakfast yesterday morning, so probably not the best role model. Anyway, Wednesday's first game of 2023 was a home game against Cambridge United, and if results went our way at Sincil Bank, Lincoln against Ipswich, we had the possibility of going up into second spot. So, without further ado, let's have a quick look at the Wednesday team. So, Wednesday's first team lineup of 2023, there were 3 changes from the game against Port Vale. Will Volts came into midfield for the injured Barry Bannon. Josh Windass came in for Fizz Delabishiru. A little bit of a surprise maybe, Malik Wilkes came in onto the right wing back spot for Alex Myton. Understandable changes there. Volts coming in for Bannon, obviously he's out with his hamstring, you don't want to rush him. Huge games coming at the end of this month, we want him right for them. I probably won't mind if he misses the next 2 or 3 as long as he's ready for them. Josh Windass in that sort of floating number 10 role in for Deli Bishiru. Understandable, I thought Deli would have been quiet in week. Maybe the surprise, as I said, Wilkes coming in on the right hand side, and I did wonder if he's got as much defensively about him as Myton, and I don't particularly think Myton's a defender, but as it were, it didn't matter because Cambridge didn't really attack. I can imagine Myton were a bit annoyed with that, you know. Very tough game against Port Vale, physical team, putting it about, mixing it. And then the horrible game at Fleetwood, swirling wind, rain coming in right over there on the foul coast, and them getting ball in air, making it a real scrap, you know. And he must have looked at this and thought, oh, Cambridge, New Year, minus 13 goal difference, chance for me to enjoy my sin a bit, you know. And then I'll have had hand on shoulder from Darren Moore. Sit this one out, son. He must have been like, what? Like I said, as it were, didn't matter because there weren't a lot of defending to do today. But I imagine that lad's gutted. Got to mention Cambridge. Very tough game they had at Derby the other day. Depleted already. The manager said the 10 players missing already. Who would be in and around the first team. So tough game at Derby. Down 10 players down. Coming to Hillsborough. Only the 4 on the bench, I think it was. And then a nightmare start for them. Goal behind after 7 minutes. Fantastic raking ball from Byers. And then the recalled Windass, you know, who's not had the best month but has been involved in a lot of goals this season, whether scoring them himself or assists. He showed what we've always known he's got. He's got that ability to stretch in behind. He's probably the only player we've really got with that ability out of our forward players. Perfectly timed run, gets it. I thought he was going to take it first time actually, but he has a touch. Defender gets in, but shows really good strength, tucks it away. And can you say a contest is over after 7 minutes and 1-0? Well, effectively today, yeah, I think we could. 10 minutes later, any shadow that it's over as a contest is out of the window. Ball up to Smith, heads it down, and Patterson, when initial ball's going in, he's made a lovely little diagonal run at the side of Smith, sort of getting in behind him. He nods it on, he's away, he's going to get shot away. Kid comes in, it's not an horrific foul, though, it's just a bit of rough and tumble in box, but if you're wrong side up, man, they look bad, don't they? So it's a penalty, a bit of a soft one, but plenty of them against us over here. Smith steps up, put his last one in low into keeper's right corner, this time other way, completely wrong foot, keeper sends him wrong way. 2-0, and Wednesday in complete control really. God, I've had to turn that brightness down, I've just got blue rings in front of my eyes. Anyway, Wednesday playing well, and there's the shape, the 3-5-2, but Palmer's so advanced down the right hand side that any worries that I might have had about Wilkes, the defensive side of his game, is completely out of the window because there's more or less 2 down that side. Palmer's at advanced, James same at left. These times it's like McGuinness is on his own back there. It's a dominant performance from Wednesday. But there's also a lot of fluidity. It's not you know, folks aren't stationary. There's bits Patterson drops in to win an header, Windass goes up front for 5 minutes, and there's a lot of movement like that. Wednesday got a corner, and obviously Johnson had gone over to take that, so then him and Wilkes just swapped flanks for 5 minutes, and in one of those sort of days with a lot of that happening, a lot of movement. Judge Byers probably popped up 3 or 4 times at right side and centre half spot. You know, it was quite fluid from Wednesday, and they were struggling to get to terms with it, Cambridge, and I felt for them. As I said, I'd already read before game day, manager said, you know, they've got like 10 players out missing. Obviously, they ain't got a budget we've got, and they've come out. But you've got to punish teams. It's, you know, might not be very nice, but that's what you've got to do. The one thing I was a little bit surprised though, if you're down to bare bones, and I don't think it matters what level of football that you're at, you've got to make it a scrap. You've got to, you know, if you haven't got bad weather and wind and rain howling in, you've got to do other things to try and level things up a bit. And that's one of the main things, is make it an horrible, scrappy game. Lots of stops and starts, throw-ins and all that bit, you know what I mean? Well, basically, how Wickham play. But they didn't do that. I don't know, maybe it's because they've got a lot of young and experienced lads in there, but I thought the only chance they got would be to make it a scrap. At 25 minutes, Palmer marauding down right hand side. I mean, we really had freedom at flanks today. He put a fantastic cross in. Smith gets across front of his man, puts header wide. It's not a bad angle, to be honest. I think that probably should be 3-0. I think, especially somebody with his aerial power, I think that should be 3-0 Wednesday. I mean, it's good. You want to see your team performing well. You want to see your team playing nice football, and I get that. But when it's not a contest as such, I found myself having the same feelings like I had against Forest Green earlier in the season. Yeah, clock the goals up. Yeah, get the points on the board, but I don't take a huge amount once goals really start racking up. I don't know why. I'm a bit of a soft touch maybe, but what did make it interesting, it was just before half-time, maybe 5-10 minutes before half-time, they had a chance. They got a kid called Nibs. He managed to wriggle free into our box, and the ball come back. I forget the name of the kid who hit it, but he hit a right spanker from about 25 yards. Hit bar, went straight up in air, and I just think maybe 2-1, maybe that would have made it a bit more of a, it might have given them something to cling on to, and maybe then they'd have made it a scrap, and it would have made it more of an interesting contest. I talked it last game, I don't particularly like 2 big lads up front, and yet today I actually thought Patel and Smith worked really well. Usually it's like, oh, which one's going to win flicks, who's going to be a lively one, but they were actually mixing it up, and both of them were guiding really good headers to each other. They were, and maybe with a run of 10, 15 games, maybe they could develop a partnership. 2 big uns, does it work long term? I don't know, but both played very well today. In fact, I thought Patterson had a great game. I'm probably a bit unlucky not to have a goal for his efforts. He worked his socks off, just like he did in it last game. Powerful in air, some good link play. Really good game from him. It's one thing about talking about these little moments. It's a completely dominant Wednesday performance. We're 2-0 up. We don't look in any danger whatsoever. But they've had that chance about 35 minutes when they've hit bar. And this is the thing, if that goes in, does it change it? The kid burst down right hand side, I think Tracy they call him. He puts in an absolutely fantastic cross. It's a centre forward. It's a sort of goal that Gary Lineker made an absolute career of, because it's a curved cross behind Wednesday's back three, but far enough away from goalkeeper. And if anybody's gambled on that, it's an absolute tapping. If anybody's gambled, but of course they aren't. They're away at Hillsborough. They've had a tough game away. They're already 2-0 down and not seeing much at ball. I think percentage for possession in first half was 70% to Wednesday. So I think tails have already dropped a bit. But an opportunity like that, and it's little things that they'll be looking back on that and thinking, oh, if only. But nobody had gambled. Nobody had made a run into the box. Yeah, Wednesday Wednesday got a corner, and like I said, Johnson were going to overtake them, so him and Wilkes were swapping for 5 minutes after every corner, for fair enough, whatever. But Wednesday were fluid full stop. They were a bit, just before the break actually. We'd had a corner, it broke down, it come down the other end. But when we came back out again, it's Josh Windass, he's in like the old-fashioned anchorman position in front of back three. He gets ball, fires it down left. It's Wilkes on left. So like I said, there was a fluidity to Wednesday that were good to see. A lot of interchanging. Wilkes did really well, great wing play, beat his man, showed strength, man fell over, free kick. But at 2-0 up, you're not mumping about that. But in a tight game, that free kick goes against you, you'd be absolutely screaming your head off. It's literally just shoulder to shoulder, you know. First 5 minutes after break, I thought Wednesday were actually quite sloppy. You know, we're still trying to get forward, and we're trying to get forward in numbers. And I don't know, I think in a way sometimes that clogged the little avenues up and actually cut angles out, made things a bit congested. Passing's a little bit sloppy in there. Wilkes, Byers, Volks all had some sloppy passages in there. Smith and Pato lost ball a couple of times, and you think, oh, hang on. Because half-time can make a huge difference, can it? You know, if you've got that momentum and suddenly having to stop 15 minutes, it can take that momentum away. So Wednesday a little bit sloppy first 5 after, and they had a little go and they actually got a chance at ball over onto the right hand side, and kid flashes a shot from 25 yards. It's rising all the way, but there's a kid at back, and he's like cut across it. They didn't really attack us today. Don't get me wrong, they didn't really attack us. But in 90 minutes, there's always going to be one or two little opportunities. There were warning signs for Wednesday day. I'm just surprised with them. They didn't try and make it a scrap. There were these little moments in that. If just one of them had gone in, maybe it'd have lifted them. But after that, after 50, 55 minutes, Wednesday took control again and really crushed them. Third goal, Palmer bombing on down that right hand side. He's almost playing like a winger. He's man a bit right sided centre half, which shows you sort of lack of resistance that we come up against. He piles on, knocks the ball out to Wilkes, carries on his run into the box. Wilkes cuts in, puts crossing. Bit of confusion in there. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Patterson in there. He gets in, gets a little touch, and just as it's up on rise, Palmer absolute side swipes it with his left foot, bangs it into the back of the net. 3-0, game over, and it is literally 3 points in bag, and just a case of how many more can we get. I mean, I don't want to take all away from Wednesday because 5 goals is fantastic. It's great for our goal difference, because I've got a feeling it might end up being nip and tuck with us and Ipswich. The goal difference could be a massive thing. So it's brilliant we've got these 5 goals, and we played very well. But I don't want to get too carried away, because this was a very poor Cambridge side. You know, it's a Cambridge side that got beat by Forest Green. You know, that took 2 games to get past Kerrs and Ashton in FA Cup, and you know, they've had a very tough time. And it's second from bottom in the form table in the league. I think they've only had 2 wins in the last 10 or 12 games, whatever it is. So very depleted. Good Wednesday performance, but these weren't really a side today, to be honest with you. Wilkes has had a good day today. Admittedly, the opposition's really poor. Like I said, Martin's probably there. Bloody hell, why couldn't it have been me? But best game in the Wednesday shirt so far. He caused them a lot of problems. It surprised me a couple of times with his ability to deliver with his right foot going on the outside. And he plays the pass of the game for the 4th goal. He's in an inside position. He's sort of drifted in onto that left foot, and it's a fantastic slide rule pass. It's my favourite sort of pass. He absolutely splits the defence. Fantastic timing on run from Windass, who just gets in there. He takes it wide. I thought he was going to cut it back, but he got one thing in mind. Drilled it across into the far post. 4-0, game over. And but it's a fantastic goal, that, you know, and that's when your confidence is up. When you're playing that sort of football, that's when people are just getting that little bit of swagger going. Actually, nearly scored just from centre, because crossing to box, fantastic lay down header from Patterson, just knocks it back into Marv's path, catches it on half volley. It's not far off it, but in fact for a minute I thought it had actually caught a defender up way past. Would have been a wonderful goal. In, head, bang. And when Wednesday really in cruise control at this stage. I thought Marv had a decent game. He put a couple of really good balls in today. But as I said, because of the layout, the system, because of the wide players doing what they do, because of them not really offering too much, licensed, freedom of the pitch for Johnson and Wilkes to go and do whatever they wanted, really. Darren Moore playing safe, made a raft of substitutions. We saw Jack Hunt come on in second half. Dennis Adeniran came in to get some minutes. Famewo came on. There was a shuffle there. He came on at left-sided centre-half. Nice to see him back because he's been out for months, hasn't he? And when we first saw him, when he first started at the beginning of his loan move, I thought, oh, there's a player here. When he plays him, he was showing good signs and played it. I thought, when he plays himself into a bit of form here, we've got a player. So it was gutting when he was out. Nice to see him back. And a good timing to have him back because it might free Reece James up to play a different position because he looks like the kind of kid who can play anywhere, to be honest with you. 75 minutes, nailed on penalty for me. And if it weren't, it would at least nailed on more than the one we actually got in first half. But Jack Hunt lobs a little ball into the box. There's three men ball watching. Nobody goes up to, really do out with it. And it comes down and they're all on the wrong side of man. Deli Bashir, who he's in, he's obviously just going to swing his leg and put it back in net. There's a bit of a wrestle. He's on floor. For me, it's a nailed on pen. But, and ref sees, don't worry about that. But I think he's looking at it and thinking, now, sort of poor bastards now. Again, won it first out. And I do think it's a sympathy decision, to be honest with you. Poor old Patterson, I tell you, he's put 2 rate shifts on spin and he's deserved a goal today for his efforts. His hold-up play were fantastic. His aerial skill were good. I mean, he's headed a couple out of our box when they had a couple of corners in first half and second half. Deserved goal, and there was a bit I thought he was getting his goal. Johnson down left put in an absolute peach of a cross, which we know he can. I'm pleased actually with that with Marv. I've seen that probably the last 2 or 3 games. That delivery that he was putting in at the back end of last season, them balls in behind the defence, them really swerving crosses, started to see that get back into his game. Didn't really see it so much at the beginning of the season, I don't think. Fantastic ball. Patterson's coming in, pulling leg back, and it clips their defender's knee just before it gets to him, and he's absolutely wounded. Boots post in frustration because it just won't come. And he probably had a chance about 5 minutes after that. Again, there was I think it was Hunt down the left-hand side. Ball gets whipped in. And as it's coming over, you can see him winding up to volley. And Wilkes runs in front of him and heads it wide. And he was just like, no! I feel sorry for Patterson today. He's put in a fantastic shift, he really has. Just shy of 80 minutes, it's 5-0. Josh Windass gets his hat-trick. Never seen anyone look so serious after scoring an hat-trick, but that's a different matter. Little 1-2 down the right-hand side. Hunt bursts down and he cuts back a really intelligent ball. I think everyone's expecting cross into the box. Whips ball back to Windass. And this is his best goal at 3 for me because it's a great ball from Hunt, but there's some right ping on it. So he has to control that first, and then just where he gets his foot across it. Absolutely fantastic. Knocks it, whip ping, and it comes back in, and it nestles in that side netting, and I love them goals. I think everybody loves them goals. Just inside post, inside netting, 5-0, hat-trick. Got to be delighted with that. He don't look particularly delighted. I don't know what that's about. Well, my mate's texted me. He reckons he's got a bit of a banter going with his dad that he shouldn't be celebrating goals in 3rd division or something. I don't know whether that's true or not. Would be a bit silly to me, but there you go. Celebrate any goal. In fact, he must show great constraint to see ball it back of the net and not celebrate. I reckon it's harder not to celebrate than it is to... I don't know. Then again, when I scored my first ever adult league goal as a 15-year-old in Nomad's Division 2 Sunday League, it was a tap-in from about 3 inches out and I ran off like Tardelli in World Cup.
And they picked their moment. Marco Tardelli.
So maybe I'm not the best person to... I actually think it shows great restraint not to celebrate a goal, because when you see it ball it back at net, everything inside is wanting to celebrate. So great restraint the lad's shown there, to be fair. Don't get it missing. Like I said, you never know when your last goal might be. Right at end, probably 5-6 minutes to go, Rio Shipston comes on. Big lad for a young lad, isn't he? Obviously thin, needs to fill out a little bit, but great to see him on, getting some involvement. I think Gaffer needs some real credit there, because these are the sorts of games, like I said, for Maywell coming back from the injury, Adeniran coming back from his injury, and Shipston in there. That's using subs at the right time in the right games, because this weren't going to be a game where they were ever going to be in any particular danger, especially the lads coming back from injury. Nice to see Shipston in there, signed his pro deal this year, and hopefully this can signal a little bit of involvement for him moving forward. It was a completely different looking Wednesday team at end of game. Man of the match. Well, it's that Triqueiro, isn't it? I don't think it is for me though. No, wait, hang up, wait, hear me out. Goals win games, that's the thing about football. It's the one constant rule. Goals win games, and it is a fantastic hat-trick from Windass, different types of finish. Brilliant match-winning goals. But over 90 minutes, players bring different things to table, and over 90 minutes, I thought Patterson had a fantastic game as well. I thought he was everything but a goal today, Patterson. Thought Wilkes were lively, admittedly, against a team that offered zero resistance and really got licence to go and do what he can do. But whether against it's a poor side that's bottom at form table and not bloody 1 in 10 games or not, the point is this: he had a good game. He's now got to use that as a foundation block. He's got to use that performance to say, right, that's my starting block. Every performance from now on, if I'm picked next week, it's got to be on that and keep building from that now. So a poor Cambridge team, but he played well, I thought, and showed the flashes of what we thought we were getting to start with. I thought Patterson, Wilkes. I thought Will Volks, that's his best game since he's come from Cardiff. There was big questions. Okay, again, I know it's Cambridge out in great form, but with Bannon being out, big questions about how we'd perform in midfield today. And I thought Byers and Windass, in their own way, controlled that midfield area. But I thought Volks were fantastic. I can't really remember him losing a tackle. He won his headers. He was taking that responsibility with Byers to get ball off back three and goalkeeper and turn and try and get moves going and get forward impetus going. And he was just busy all afternoon. Thought Volks had a great game. But my man of the match, without an assist or a goal line clearance, particularly outline up, but my man of the match was Reece James. I thought he was absolutely faultless. I thought it was a faultless performance from him. I thought he was magnificent at left-sided centre back on the rare occasions that they did attack or put out in. He was there. 5'8", wins his headers against a bigger lad. But it's timing. It's football brain. Timing, anticipation, knows when to jump, good leap, football brain. Use of ball out from back was excellent, linked brilliantly with Marvin Johnson down that left-hand side, especially in first half. He can carry the ball, that's another thing. A lot of players, defensive players, uncomfortable carrying ball. He's not. He'll carry ball 30 yards up pitch and really push on opposition and drag team up pitch with him. And then that last sort of 15 minutes or so when he moved out to left wing back, I thought he was superb there as well. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. He can beat a man. He's got a good range of passing. He always picks the right pass. Combative, can cross the ball. And, I think it was like 92 minutes he almost got on score sheet, because in that advanced role on left he was able to come inside and he got a shot away. And fantastic result for Wednesday. Some really good performances. Patterson, Volks, Windass, all good. Wilkes, but I just thought Reece James was an absolutely different class today. I really, really did. At centre half and left side. And I said it in the last game, if it needs come, I could see him easily doing a job at middle at Park and all, because he's just got that intelligence and good use of the ball. With Firmino back now, maybe it frees James up to go and do something else for this fantastic footballer. And it's harsh on anyone who's got an hat-trick, but James would be my man of the match. He was absolutely bloody imperious today. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what a side Blackpool must have if he can't get in. Their manager must be a crackpot. Now, we were all waiting. Wednesday got the 5-goal win, we'd got the points, we were all looking what's happening at Sincilbank. Well, let's have a look what happened at Sincilbank. Well, as it turned out, it was fantastic news, because Ipswich were only able to get a point down there at Lincoln. I mean, Lincoln actually had a man sent off. So, when that news filters through, we think, oh God, here we go. Ipswich having that little bit of luck. But it weren't. Lincoln actually took lead with 10 men, and Ipswich didn't level till 81st minute. In fact, I think it was 81st minute. They scored level in a week against Portsmouth too. But nevertheless, it's 2 points dropped for Ipswich. Wednesday's win puts them into second place at first time on 52 points. That 5-0 win. And it just shows how things can change in this division. Look at Barnsley there. Barnsley, the form team in division this last month or so. A 3-0 reverse. Of course, Dinnell, their skipper, got sent off after 10 minutes. But that's football, isn't it? Little moments and fine margins can make all the difference in a game, can't they? Add them up over a season. That's why it's all over the place, and you can never tell what's going to happen. But Wednesday, up into second spot, all to play for. Some big games at the end of next month. But before that, we've got a couple of other games, which I'm not saying will be easy, but I'm saying if we can get maximum out of these. And to end up month 3 massive games. We've got Barnsley away. Obviously, they've lost 3-0 this week down to 10 men, but form team in division before today. Plymouth, who aren't dropping points, and then Ipswich. That's a huge game, really. A huge month ahead there. Hopefully, I don't care if we don't see Barry Bannon in the next 3 fixtures, as long as he's ready for them 3. And the next 3, Wickham, Fleetwood, Cheltenham. Got to be looking for maximum points there. If we can get 9 points from there, take that little bit of pressure off going into them big 3. Because Plymouth, Ipswich, if we're getting results against everybody else, it don't matter so much then if they're tight stalemates, which them games can often be. Exciting, isn't it? Exciting. It's all coming together. We were really strong after Christmas this time last year. If we don't same again, but we're already in a better position than we were last year. Who's to say what might happen? Title's not even out of question yet. Anyway, before that, big cup game against Newcastle. Hopefully plenty down there at Hillsborough, and it's on box as well. Hopefully we can put on a display for the nation as well. Till next game, anyway, we shall see you later, and why don't we have a little steady look at that table, do a bit of table gazing. Starting to shape up nicely.